Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1.
Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's light.
From the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, and the schmoes know, this is DC Movie News, bringing you the most up-to-date discussion and commentary within the DC universe.
Greetings and welcome, fans of the DC Universe. Fresh off of exposing my underwear on the Marvel Movie News Show, I'm Adam Gertler.
It's true. It's true.
That's you.
Should have won.
Oh, I'm Roxy Striar.
Johnny LaQuasta.
And joining us today, it is my pleasure to introduce to you a veritable who's who of DC information and knowledge, a comic book historian, Mr. Alan Kistler.
Hello.
Alan, thank you so much for joining us. We just did the Marvel show together.
Yes, we did.
That was a lot of fun. So briefly, just let everyone know your pedigree, so you can people will understand why this is so badass to have you with us.
Yeah, I've been working as a geek consultant and comic book historian for a few years now. I've appeared on different DC animated features and documentaries. You can see me in Batman and Son, Superman, Batman Apocalypse on the Blu-ray, New Frontier. The Aquaman collection, the Plastic Man collection.
What?
Do you mean doing voiceover, or you're?
No, when they do those features of like, so tell us about the history of this character. Like, I show up and I tend to break things down. Like, I explain the new gods or things like that.
Are you wearing a cape? Because that would be awesome.
All right.
I do not normally wear a cape. Occasionally, it depends.
See, he
on the
breaks it down, so we have an expert here.
This
I
is
also just
why-
made the New York Times bestseller list with my book Doctor Who: A History.
Congratulations. This is
you.
why you're too fancy to introduce yourself.
Exactly.
And wait, can we go back for a second? Because I missed this thing about your pants.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I sat in on
He dropped trowel.
Yeah, I sat in on the DC show, and
And I wasn't there?
I was wearing. I sat in on the Marvel show, and I wore a Marvel shirt, and I'm like, okay, guys, yes, I'm your friend. I love Marvel. And then at the end,
Word for
I was
word
like,
what he said.
DC rules, and I pulled my pants down. And I had my Superman boxers on, and I peaced out.
And then you also threw some sausage at him.
Where are you?
Oh, I did leave them with sausage.
That's right.
You whipped out your sausage.
No,
After you
that was
dropped
separate.
trout?
I cooked your sausage and loved it.
How
Oh my
was
God,
it?
So
I ate
good.
it literally in 2 sittings. It was
Oh.
good.
You
Thank you so
ate that
much.
sausage.
Well, I've
twice.
given Alan some
Twice
of my
as good.
sausage.
Yes, I'm going to enjoy it
And
later.
you out there, you can have some of my sausage too. Come to a Doghouse restaurant opening soon near you.
There you go.
Let's jump into the DC news. There's plenty to talk about this week. Let's kick off with a very amusing story first. Transformers star and former model Tyrese is lobbying for Jon Stewart Green Lantern job in the most shameless display since Sean Young tried to get Catwoman out of Tim Burton.
Look at the Photoshop work on that. That is impressive.
This is actually only one of several images. There's been quite a few of these going around.
It's actually really good Photoshop, I gotta say. I mean, I'm intrigued already.
Look, when you
and
got
I'm not
the
a huge
money,
Tyrese fan.
When you got the money that Tyrese has, you can get a lot of people to do this kind of stuff for you.
True.
You're
All
sitting
right.
around your mansion.
I guess this is mostly to you, Johnny, because it's not that I hate Tyrese, but I just don't understand. Like, people are obsessed with him. What's up?
Well, why do I have to answer
Because
this
before we
question?
started, you were like, I love Tyrese.
Way to throw
Clark-
Johnny
okay.
under the bus.
No, he's a funny. No, I like Tyrese.
Roxy came out throwing sand, swinging. She's like, I'm not going to wait for these guys to start with me. I'm just going to throw Johnny under the bus.
No,
Right?
I have no
Tell
idea.
me why I'm wrong now.
To Tyrese's credit, I like Tyrese. I think he's a funny guy.
Right.
He started off as a model. I mean, let's be honest.
liked his stuff.
The dude's I didn't really look at his underwear
gave you a
ads,
sausage.
but no, no more sausage, Roxy. None of that right now.
man.
You're really throwing me off.
He became an actor.
He became an actor, and actually a pretty good one. Granted, I hated the movie Baby Boy, thought it was awful, but he developed himself into a really good actor, and, you know, Jon Stewart is black, so why not pitch yourself for it? I don't know.
You might get some slack for that one. I'm just saying.
No, that's a statement of fact. Jon Stewart is
No, it
black,
is
not
not.
the Daily Show
He
Jon
is.
Stewart from the comics,
No, it's-
Roxy.
it is so-
I can't argue with that
It is a
statement.
point. It is a
Alan,
valid
do you
point.
have an opinion
Why
on
not?
this lobbying for the role of Green Lantern?
I think it's cool that anyone's lobbying to go for
Yeah.
Jon Stewart. I think that's really cool. Would he be? He's not the name that came to my mind when I thought about Jon Stewart. I'm definitely in the Idris Elba camp.
Me too.
But
Yeah, but what if he
Hey.
becomes Bond? He's not going to become Green Lantern.
I don't mind if he's both, because he's the kind of cat that would play them both so differently.
Bond would be a far way off for him too. Daniel Craig still has that.
But Daniel Craig, from what I understand, kind of wants out, and Elba's being strongly considered.
Yeah.
Well, there's certainly a lot of rumors.
Again, if he plays them as very different characters, and I would trust him to, I really don't mind that. He've gotten a little bit of him in a superhero universe as Heimdall, but I want to see him be full-on superhero.
He's actually smack-talked the Marvel stuff a little bit, and what to me seems like he's trying to make his way out of there. He's like, I agree with you. I've been a proponent of Jon Stewart to be the Green Lantern, and there's a lot of Hal Jordan lovers out there. My idea, or the idea that I love, I shouldn't say my idea, I love the idea of it being like a buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
Having a couple of people from the Corps in there. However, the way that I've seen Jon Stewart portrayed, it is to me someone with more gravitas.
Yes, I think that's my main thing.
And Idris Elba he's got presence.
He's got, it's not just a military aspect. There's the authority involved in it. Like he's got this sort of sullen, quiet authority in him.
Right, like Idris Elba played off of like a Bradley Cooper or something like that. That could be a fun dynamic. Either as Guy Gardner or as Hal Jordan or something like that. I just wanted to see them do something different with the Green Lantern movie. We can't have like another solo superhero, I'm on my mission.
So you don't buy Tyrese as the expert sniper, Marine, because he's played military before.
I know, and Transformers, yeah, absolutely. I hate those movies. I don't hate him in them. I actually don't hate this guy as an actor, and I think it's cool that he's kind of going after it. I just don't love him as Jon Stewart.
I have to say that the chat roll is pretty much agreeing they're not really into Tyrese as Jon Stewart. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about how we are live right now, and I'm talking to everybody on YouTube.
Yeah.
So on Thursdays at 2:45 Pacific time, we go live. You guys can join the conversation on the Popcorn Talk YouTube page. So if you guys want to talk to us, then that's where to do it. But I agree with you, Adam. I like that he is campaigning. I like actors that know what they want. They go out there, they try to get it.
That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
All right, go ahead.
Killer Zelly says Tyler Perry from Gone Girl as Jon Stewart.
All right, you know what?
Applaud that
it's
idea.
not that much off.
Sure.
How about Tyler Perry from any Medea movie as Jon Stewart? Why
That's,
not?
that would be a very interesting way to go a little bit more of a comedic route.
Let's go campy. Why not?
I feel like I could answer a lot of why not.
The look on his face was like, just stop it.
What would you like to see? Because I'm assuming that you probably know a lot more about the history of the Corps than maybe a lot of people here. What do you want to see? Obviously it wasn't very successful the last time we saw the Green Lantern. I mean, there were parts of it that I thought were really cool, but overall it was terrible.
The first Green Lantern movie, it was written by 4 people, and it looked like it was written by 4 people. There were too many story arcs that didn't go anywhere, or that stopped and turned into a different story arc. And then also, they screwed up from moment one, in an understandable way, but from moment one, you've got that whole voiceover where they're sort of doing the Lord of the Rings origin voiceover.
Right.
What is the Corps? What are the rings? Which would have been cool if then the next scene showed, and Hal has been a Green Lantern for however many years.
Right.
They didn't. Hal was just becoming a Green Lantern, so then you have to repeat all that information to him, and then the movie starts dragging because this guy's playing catch up to stuff we already know.
Now, did he get
the journey?
Did he get the ring from? Is it Abin Sur?
Right.
Okay, that part I thought was great.
It was
and it looked great. The effects of that whole thing were great.
You had a good cast and you had lots of good moments, but there wasn't a cohesion between them. They weren't sure what kind of personality this guy was supposed to have or what his arc was. And I think you just gotta, you can skip origin stories. Just give us the basic thing. These are space cops. They're volunteers practically. They're given these weapons. Let's go into a threat where you need multiple Green Lanterns from different planets.
I have a question. Has it even been said which Green Lantern they're going with? It hasn't been.
Nothing official.
Oh, so Tyrese is really just.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
Johnny, good point though.
Bring it in.
Here's a good point. Sometimes I feel like actors get the inside track on what roles are being cast. So does the fact that Tyrese is lobbying so heavily for this role, is that possibly a hint that it has been bandied about that they are considering going with Jon Stewart?
Well, it could just be a logical progression. The fact that the last Green Lantern tanked so bad, they might as well go with a different character.
Yeah.
But that taste in everybody's mouth is just going to be so sour for so long if they don't reconcile it. So
Kind
that's
of like
why
if
I feel
someone drinks from your cup, you get just that little sad look on your face.
I just don't like your spit germs in my drink. I think that's valid.
Continue, Roxy.
Anyway, I just think that if they don't somehow include him in the movie, people are going to be referencing back for so long, and they're not going to have another chance to see someone else. So, yes, I do want to see Jon Stewart, but I also want to see Hal Jordan, which is why I think that Adam had a great idea.
And you can have them both, which is one of the beauties of how the Green Lantern Corps is set up. You can have multiple people who people consider like that's the Green Lantern.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a complete passing the baton where one guy goes away.
Alan, you've made me see the light. So all the people that like to tweet me, all the Hal Jordan lovers, I'll give you Hal Jordan if you give me Jon Stewart. We put them together, and you have the personalities play off each other. Plus, I want to see lots of alien Green Lanterns too.
I really want to see some alien Green Lanterns.
Lethal weapon in space.
Yeah.
Kilowog was done pretty well, right?
Some great lady Green Lanterns. That whole crowd scene in the first movie, I didn't see like one woman. I was like, that's really weird. What are the odds of that?
I'm loving your woman support today.
I am.
Yeah.
Speaking of Roxy's distaste for spit, when grilled for Aquaman info, Jason Momoa gave up that it would be a different kind of Aquaman in the movies than we're used to from the comic books. He was speaking actually to a 75-year-old woman who was kind of a big fan of the comics and was asking him about would he have a beard? Would he not have the beard?
Right.
And he said basically it's going to be different. Obviously, I'm not going to be white or blonde.
Right.
Which makes me happy because we've all said how excited we are for Momoa. It's my most favorite piece of casting news for the DC universe.
Yeah.
And I want to see him being an Aquaman unto himself.
Right. I mean, good luck finding a blonde Hawaiian. You know what I mean? Like, he's from Hawaii. Would people really expect him?
Well, it's from Atlantis.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right,
You
but look
know-
at that mane on his head. Can you
No,
picture
you're
that being
right.
bleached
Yes,
blonde?
I can. Have you
right.
seen him with Khaleesi and the way she looks? If he looked like that, I kind of wish he was going
Okay,
blonde. Obviously, he's not going to be white. We're not going to whatever it is. But the
that
blonde,
head with blonde hair.
I could see it. I wanted to see him go blonde.
I really don't give a damn about the hair
gives a
color.
damn?
I give a damn.
No, that's cool.
Frankly,
No,
my dear.
That's cool. I'm saying I personally don't. I really want to see. There's such a majesty behind Aquaman you can get into. There's this great like mix of sci-fi and mythology you can really tap into. I really want to see DC do that. I'm really hoping we don't try to ground it too much in reality or try to downplay some of the weirder aspects of his world.
It seems like there's going to be a lot of aliens and underwater science fiction elements introduced in these films, so it's going to be hard to stay so quote-unquote grounded.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah.
We've got aliens. We started with Superman, so clearly
Also,
we're off-world.
Aquaman's just such a cool character because there was never a secret identity aspect. Like he would fight with the Justice League and then go home to his wife and kid and say, "Dude, Brainiac was weird today," and he would just be completely open with them. Everyone in town knew who he was.
Yeah.
Brainiac really made me feel bad about myself today. You know, he really
keeps
got
trying
my
to-
head.
He keeps trying to shrink things. What's his deal?
Well, it's funny we're talking about Aquaman because that leads us to our next.
Yes, actually, Michael Shannon walking around Sundance this week, repping his DC status, wearing an Aquaman shirt, which kind of ties into the fact that many people suspect that the General Zod character from Man of Steel was responsible for seriously messing stuff up in Atlantis, possibly killing the Atlantean king, and making Momoa's Aquaman come to the surface.
Can we first pay respect to how awesome that shirt is?
I was just going to say
That's a
how
great shirt.
hungover he looks.
Well, when you're that dude, you could wear sunglasses inside. No one's gonna question.
He looks like he's asking if that's a camera.
Yeah, true.
He's got a little bit of a Busey face on him in that picture. Like, what's going on right now?
I saw this picture and it took me a minute to look at the shirt even because I was just staring at him like, all right, what did you do last night? Like, I have to know.
It's Sundance. I'm sure everybody's, they're watching movies, they're
That's true.
partying all night.
No
Everyone's cracked-
judgment.
Everyone's cracked out
Just
at Sundance.
envy. Only envy, no judgment.
So do you think? I mean, in Man of Steel, his world engine does kind of like, do a lot of damage. Is that going to play back?
Yeah,
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of callbacks to the events of Man of Steel,
So
really
maybe-
triggering the beginnings of the DC cinematic universe.
So do you think this would make people rethink about how much they hate Man of Steel in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they really use it as a launch pad.
I'm just saying, maybe if there's more foreshadowing than we realize, would that make us go back and be like, oh, well, maybe
A lot
it
of
wasn't.
retconning. A lot of retconning could be
I don't
done.
know. I mean,
Right.
because that's a pretty cool way for Aquaman to show up. The fact
Honestly, the fact that there was a machine in the ocean wasn't my main problem with Man of Steel.
well,
What was your main problem with Man of Steel?
Yeah, if we're gonna
The
get
dog?
into this, Oh no, the dog. I love dogs and Superman. I want Crypto in a freaking movie. I love Crypto.
I know, but the dog being the inciting incident for the father's death.
I don't mean the actual casting of the dog.
That's my biggest problem.
No, it's. I think you had an amazing cast. I think you had some really good scenes. I think you had some really great ideas of how to modernize Superman. I was actually down with Lois totally being in on it. Like that's fine, but. It's again the story arc. Like for me, the hero. There's got to be a moment where it becomes really proactive. If I'm going to stand on my own, I'm going to go on my own path. And I didn't really feel that strongly in Man of Steel. He was following one father's example for a long time, and then met Ghost Dad and followed his example. And you had this like beautiful speech that Ghost Dad gives him about choice. Jor-El gives him about choice, and it's a beautiful speech about what if a child could choose and find their own path. But then he goes, so by the way, you're supposed to be a hero to Earth, and you're going to bridge our cultures. I've even picked out the outfit you're going to wear.
Here you go.
And it's like, oh, so choice went out the window. You've been planning this the whole time? Like, there were way too many contradictions of the theme. Also, I think every superhero movie you're doing, because they are getting formulaic now, and they're all falling into a similar category, you got to look at what makes your guy stand out. And for Superman in the very beginning, the very first story, he's taking war profiteers, making them enlist in the army so they can see war, and then asking them from this new perspective to change their behavior. He could have just scared the guy and said, don't make weapons. But he doesn't. He wants to show an ideal to live up to. And in Man of Steel, I don't see an ideal that we don't already, like he kills an invader. We do that already. We do that all the time, and we're very good at it. So I didn't see an example that Superman was giving of like, here's something you can aspire to.
So you loved it. All right. Well, while we're talking about having issues with things, I just have to bring something back because every week you seem to pick a fight somehow with Heisenberg, and you're picking these fights, and I have to say,
what did I pick the fight with Heisenberg?
Well, this time he's Googled you because he's pissed at you.
Oh no!
And he Googled you and says that there's a photo of you with nothing but an apron and an egg in your mouth.
Okay,
so
this is hot.
Just in case you want to throw some shots at Heisenberg.
Wow.
In the chat.
I think that picture was actually my Twitter avatar for a while. I'm definitely not hiding that picture. No.
I wouldn't think you would be embarrassed by a photo like that.
No, are you kidding me? I wish there were more.
I'm just trying to add a little fuel to the fire.
Okay, no, look, that's good. That's all good. I agree with you. I think there were moments. I think it could have been better. I think overall, when I've returned to it, I've appreciated the film more and more, and I really love Henry Cavill as Superman.
No,
I think,
like I said, cast is fantastic.
Yeah.
But there were just so many things where I just thought, what are you like the way his father died also. That was my biggest problem. That was a huge problem with me. One, it just doesn't work scientifically. Like anyone who's been in a tornado, you don't run under the underpass.
How many times?
You will die.
How many times have you been in that tornado?
Like,
just curious.
This week, okay?
And also, if you have the ability to save your dog and your dad,
exactly. But even
do it.
Even beyond that, there's no real lesson learned from it. Like every time that they've done a story where his father or both parents die, it's either natural causes, a disease,
right,
or something like a car crash. And the point is that there are things Superman can't prevent.
Yes.
And it's a lesson in mortality and his own limitations and perspective. And none of that applies to, well, my dad asked me not to save him from a tornado.
I'm with you.
I totally agree.
I guess the other lesson is don't live in the Midwest. I don't know what the other.
That is also
That's
part
actually
of it.
the story of Man of Steel. Don't live in the Midwest.
So let's
and terraforming can happen on Mars instead of Earth. What the hell?
Yes, why not?
Yeah,
why not put it there?
Why didn't Zod just put them on Mars?
So we have more Suicide Squad casting rumors. This is something that's been going on a lot. We talked last week about possible Joel Edgerton taking the role of Rick Flag Jr., also John Barenthal. Now thrown into that mix, a very popular actor among the geek set from the Star Trek franchise and the much loved, if not very profitable, Dredd film, Karl
freaking
Urban.
loved Dredd.
Dredd was great.
It was so much fun.
It was great because it was a snapshot. It was no origin story.
And
it was
Anderson was a badass.
It was great.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you feel that. So
don't forget he was in Xena Warrior Princess.
Okay, so let's just go moment by moment. So what do you guys think about Karl Urban possibly taking the role that was going to be Tom Hardy's?
I mean, they're all muscular dudes.
I would be fine with that.
I mean,
here's the deal. we cannot get attached to any name right now.
Sure.
At all. So,
Why?
Because
She's gonna kill him.
I feel like I just had my heart ripped out of my chest when we just had the drop of
Temple of Doom style?
No, I mean, even when I thought that it was going to be Jake after that, and then he wasn't, and then I was like, you know what? I am not committing my heart and soul to any of these
I'm
men.
not asking for a commitment. I'm asking you to date Karl Urban as a name.
I don't want to date him. No
Go out for
one-night
coffee
stands.
with him as a possible Rick Flag Jr.
I don't want to go to coffee with him. I don't want to go to coffee with anybody
Nobody's
until I
getting on
know
one knee,
that they're cooking me
Roxy.
breakfast in the morning.
This
And I
is
don't
like-
know that yet.
This is like what the girl I was dating did to me this week. Just crushed me.
Well, you know, there's always a
We don't need to
fallback.
get into it. Here's the thing. What gets me excited about this, what possibly saves it, is the Rick Flag Sr. rumors of a possible Ed Harris or Max Martini from Pacific Rim.
Look, just like Gary Sinise, if you could add Ed Harris, you'd do it.
If you add Ed Harris, okay, how awesome is Ed Harris just in anything?
Very true.
So I felt the same way about Tom Hardy, but now if you add Ed Harris to the mix, I kind of don't care as much about the Junior.
Yeah.
What do you think? Or how familiar are you with Suicide Squad, with the Flags, with the Juniors? Please,
No, I'm
expound
totally.
a little
I'm
bit.
actually doing a video of the Suicide Squad's history for the YouTube channel I host, Think About the Ink.
Oh, naturally.
Yeah, well, I mean, the original Rick Flag Sr. is a retroactive character because the original comic started with just Rick Flag Jr. leading the Suicide Squad as basically like monster hunters. It was one of DC's weird, ordinary people fighting dinosaurs and strange beasts, and it lasted about 5-6 issues. And then
This is from the 50s you're talking about?
this is from the 60s. I want to say it might have been the 50s.
We'll get it right for your video.
But sure. I do fact check. But but then in the 80s, after the
Fighting
crisis, DC wanted to revive some old titles, and Bob Greenberger and John Ostrander talked about Suicide Squad, and they really had no interest in making it a monster squad. So the idea came up with, we've got all these B-list villains. Wouldn't it be great to put them together in a team? That way you could sort of explain why some of the lower-powered ones keep winding up outside of prison again. And that way you also have a sense of risk because we can kill off the really low-tier ones, or we can make some of them really interesting characters. So suddenly you had this team of supervillains in the Belle Reve prison, which was so weird to me because it's a reference to Streetcar Named Desire. And you have them like trading...
Is that where Blanche was?
Right.
And
It's
Belle
just
Reeve, Belle Reeve, that's the name of the
plantation, right?
she
And
stays
in the
on.
first
That's how it
issue,
comes to.
So Blanche becomes Poison Ivy?
there's cross continuity. No, but they specifically mentioned the plantation and history of
It's
it
been sold.
in the first issue of Suicide Squad.
So weird.
But, yeah, and so John Ostrander loves theater, but
Arthur
yeah,
Miller getting reference everywhere.
Right.
Awesome.
But
Or
yeah, so
Tennessee
you've got
Williams.
Tennessee Williams.
You've got
Don't
these-
do that to me in my theater major.
I corrected myself.
you've got these great villains to use, and how some of them developed. Like Deadshot was just this dude who had fought Batman occasionally, and now he got to become a whole character unto himself because of Suicide Squad.
So this whole idea is that Suicide Squad was originally this one team led by Rick Flag.
Right. We originally it was Rick Flag Jr. and so he was leading the new prisoners, and then we learned retroactively. Oh, before his team, there was even a World War II Black Ops team led by Rick Flag Sr. So
Excellent.
we retroactively got that idea. So, I mean, you tell me Ed Harris is this dude who like fought Black Ops missions in World War II. Automatically, I'm interested in the movie.
Yeah.
Are either of you familiar with the other name who is being reported as the second choice, Max Martini, who was in Pacific Rim?
Don't know Max
He was part of
Martini.
the father-son
I
pair.
saw.
I actually
Pacific Rim.
loved this guy in Pacific Rim.
I was
He was
gonna say,
great.
but that's all I know.
Yeah,
That's,
I mean, me too, but he stood out. He has a great role. I'm a big fan of Pacific Rim. I thought that was great. It's not Ed Harris, just because Ed Harris is another one of those guys where it's just like he could just say anything, and I'm like, I believe it.
Well, he's also way more well known.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Max Martini's a pretty cool name.
It is. I thought Max Martini was like a
Stage name?
a drag queen. Yeah, like an actual.
I immediately picture a
very
dude in a
popular.
tux.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the pictures right there.
A
You have
dude in a tux,
Even
really?
the Ed Harris headshot
Max
right there.
Martini. I'm immediately picturing a dude in a tux, like
Max
rocking
Martini.
it up.
There is
No.
a drag queen named something Martini.
Thank
I
you
think.
to everyone in chat roll for calling me for Rick Flag. Thanks. It makes me feel good.
Oh, Johnny LaQuasto for Rick Flag. That's
man. I'll get in the gym.
barrel-chested.
LB
brother over
Snapper
here.
car.
What about also being reported is that Deathstroke is going to be in the Suicide Squad film, possibly as the villain or enemy of the Suicide Squad.
Yep.
And a name that's being thrown around is Joe Manganiello.
Okay.
Speaking
Joe has
of
been-
going to the gym, damn.
All right.
Wow, yeah, he's a beast.
Homeboy
He's
is
a big boy.
huge.
His name has been thrown around for
Everything.
everybody.
Is this guy finally
everything.
going to land something in one of these comic book movies or what? He was talked about for Superman.
Oh my gosh.
He's been talked about as...
He was earlier talked about as Aquaman in Aquaman or something.
Yeah,
He's been talked about for every single thing. I love him. He's got to stick somewhere.
What's crazy about him
I
is...
keep waiting for Roxy's quote of the show. It's like it almost goes there, but it doesn't.
What's crazy about him is he has the kind of physique and look where he looks way older than he really is. Like
Yeah.
the dude just, maybe it's the little bit of the gray, I don't know what it is, but he is just, I don't know how the hell you look like that.
Deathstroke is another great character, and it was
Yeah.
actually portrayed pretty well on Arrow by Manu Bennett, who is
I thought he did a
amazing
great
from
job.
Spartacus,
I agree.
who's
Great
also as jacked as a guy can be. And I don't know if you've ever seen Spartacus. The guy spent most of the show naked, and leaves nothing to imagination. But what did you think of that portrayal, and what would you like to see
on
in it?
Arrow? I love the portrayal on Arrow.
Yeah.
and it just showed like he also. Because Deathstroke is often this kind of unapologetic character in the comics. It was great to see that they actually most of the time in different shows the flashback is just kind of filler, and an Arrow can sometimes it can feel like filler. But for the Deathstroke storyline where they were showing him develop and the friendship with Ollie and then how that friendship gets torn apart, it was really well done. It really added a lot to his character. And gave him a little bit more of a gravitas than just this cold-blooded money for hire assassin, which is great for the original origin, because originally when he fights the Titans, it's not just because he's been hired, it's because his son died. And he's trying to fulfill his son's contract.
This is my biggest problem with the fact that they're separating the universes, because
We'd love to see him.
Well, I just think that they've done such a good job casting for the TV universe that it's really hard for me, or even as different
What about
people,
the Deadshot, though, they cast? That Deadshot looks so silly on Arrow.
I don't know. I think that they've done a great job, and people are even talking about in the chat today, and I've seen it all over the place. People really want Diggle to play Jon Stewart, the guy who plays Diggle. So people are just loving the Arrow cast.
Most of those people are probably not casting directors.
I mean,
though.
I'd love him to stay as Diggle and meet Jon Stewart. We can have more than 2 black superheroes in DC stuff.
No, it's true, of course, but I'm just saying.
Tyrese should take over Diggle in season 4 of Arrow.
You guys know that I'm a huge. I'm a huge fan of.
Lady! That's Tyrese's old song.
Yeah.
I'll piss in your little box if you don't let me go.
Please, Bane Cat, continue.
Wait, Bane Cat just got cast now?
Yeah.
What the hell's happening in Arrow?
Bane Cat for the win. You guys know I'm obsessed with Grant Gustin. I'm having a hard time with that. So every other time we talk about a casting that I love on the shows, and I know that they're not going to make an appearance on the big screen, it's tough for me.
No, I'm with you. I think that Arrow really found its footing, and Flash has just been rocking out.
Right.
I really think they've done a great job.
I think they're great, but I think that's what's great about DC is that there's lots of different continuities to draw from, and they can go in a lot of different ways with these characters, and it all has precedence in the comics. And I'm okay with there being other ones out there. So I kind of disagree. Another name I just wanted to throw out is Jason Clarke, who's going to be in the new Terminator movie as well. So. I
just saw a trailer for that. It looks ridiculous.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing it's gonna be good.
So do I.
I'm with you.
Just because
I don't think it will be.
I feel like the star of those films is James Cameron, to be quite honest. The only good ones are James Cameron movies.
James and Linda.
I agree with you, Johnny, that I liked the trailer, but I have to say that 90% of the people are not liking it.
No, I didn't. Ridiculous didn't necessarily mean a good thing when I said ridiculous.
You might have actually meant what the word really means.
I saw the trailer in a theater the other night, and I was like,
Oh, you don't mean like LOL, haha, totally ridiculous.
no, just ridiculous.
Just
As in, like,
Nobody would mean that ever.
Got it. All right.
Never say that
Just
again.
gonna go hide under the table.
not really.
I'm sorry. That was for Heisenberg.
No, I'm with you. And
That's right, Heisenberg. Every time you make me angry, Roxy suffers.
This is not me trying to be like, I don't want remakes or reboots. No, because I'm all on board with the Ghostbusters 3 all-female cats and amazing. But when I watch the Terminator trailer, something about it it doesn't seem right.
Well, also this immediately would turn me off is that in the new premise for that movie is you've got a Terminator raising Sarah Connor basically. And like training her whole life, and I'm thinking,
it's kind of like a prequel, right? I think
it's doing what the Star Trek did. It's changing the timeline and changing the origin. But
can you say all this in your best Arnold Schwarzenegger voice? Because
No.
we do impressions here. Yeah, you got to
Look,
try.
I'm sorry, guys. Terminator was a license by Dark Horse. We have to move on to DC.
fair enough.
All right,
Fair enough.
good point.
Continuing with
Saved
Suicide
by
Squad,
Adam.
we mentioned before Gary Sinise, and we weren't sure if he was possibly being considered for Rick Flag Sr. or possible general. Now we're hearing Elling, and I don't know if that's actually General Elling or if that's General Sam Lane, Lois's father. That kind of makes a little bit more sense to me.
Right.
Gary Sinise being tossed around. Also, another actor that I would say, if you're going to put Lieutenant Dan in a film, that's not a bad thing necessarily.
Oh.
What do you guys think of the possible inclusion of Gary Sinise in Suicide Squad, possibly as Lois Lane's
Let him
dad?
be Lois's daddy. That'd be amazing.
Why do you think that? Just
Because he's Gary Sinise.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so just him in any role would be great.
Yeah, Lois needs guidance.
Also, because Sam Lane he's an antagonist to Superman, but he's someone who works really well where you can kind of see where he's coming from, where he has genuine concerns about, an alien who goes around being this powerful and no one's checking him and no one has a way to necessarily keep him in line.
But will he take you to breakfast in the morning?
Not me, probably.
How? Okay.
No, actually, and it's going to be cooked by Adam in nothing but an apron and an egg.
How would you compare that General Lane to, say, Thunderbolt Ross? There's a lot of parallels there in that, like, you got Betty's father, Lois's father.
Yeah, they both definitely suffer from
two of the most powerful heroes in comics.
I mean, they both definitely suffer from becoming closed-minded. Like, they have what they see as reality, and other people just don't get it. But I think there is a difference where, like, General Ross truly became obsessed, but actually believed he was in the right. Whereas Sam Lane, after a while, decides that morality has no place. It's safety among other things. So he's actually more cold-hearted as things go on,
Right.
and he just justifies
Which really kind of, in a way, echoes General Zod's belief, but from the Earth perspective, almost.
A little bit.
From Man of Steel. I mean, taking that, the idea was General...
I mean, that's another problem I have with the movie, because I'm not sure how much was his belief and how much was programmed, because they talked about that every baby is, like, programmed
Predetermined.
for a role. So I'm like, does he actually have free will?
No, but I mean, it's that idea that it's cold-hearted, there's no morality to it, and he has a purpose.
Right.
And that's kind of what you're saying about General Lane.
Yes, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Moving on, but still in the Suicide Squad, Jeffrey Rush was rumoredly offered the role of Clifford DeVoe, the Thinker, who has also been another villain, also has been another member of the Suicide Squad.
Love this.
I don't know much about this character. They're saying that Jeffrey Rush has passed, but... the inclusion of that character, what do you think of that, Roxy? You seem to have an opinion.
I didn't know he had passed, and then I just fell in love with the casting.
I'm on board.
Stripped it from me.
I'm on board with the character, regardless who they cast.
It does sound like a cool character.
Yeah, he really
It is
sounds
definitely
great.
a cool character.
But
Except...
I'm nervous. What's with the passing on this script? Why are people passing on this movie?
Well, it's you know what? Jeffrey Rush is one of those actors, too, where I could see him not necessarily wanting to play those reindeer games.
But he did Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe he had a bad experience. That was also,
every
maybe...
time?
How many of those did he do?
He was in, yeah.
Wasn't he on all four?
Really? Is he?
Yeah, he's in all
It must have been a
four.
multiple picture deal. I wanted to... I know he's so great.
Yeah, he's so
he's
great.
Can we talk about Shine for a second? Shine
Oh,
is like
man, Shine.
amazing.
Shine with young Baltar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Such a great movie. That is upsetting. That would have been great to see Jeffrey Rush in
I
this
think
film.
he's just incredible.
Wait, but what is it? Isn't the Thinker? Doesn't he have like it's the silliest name of a weapon? It's like his Thinker's
His thinking cap.
His
Yes.
thinking cap.
Yes.
Tell me about the thinking cap.
No, because DC in the 60s, much like Marvel in the 60s, had no embarrassment, all right? We had guys named Rainbow Raider whose real name was Roy G. Bivolo. They literally took Roy G. Biv and made it the dude's name. No apologies.
Didn't he just come back on to one of the TV shows?
He was on Flash.
Yeah.
And they didn't call him Rainbow Raider, but they did call him Roy G. Bivolo.
And he's stuck in the
I was
pipeline
like,
right now.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Education
That's
about the
awesome.
color spectrum is very important.
That is true.
That's
Wait
true.
a sec. No. I just wanted to sidebar real fast while I think about it. On Flash, how the hell are they able to incarcerate these criminals without any sort of trial or arrest?
Because no one knows that they're
They just
there.
hide them and
In the
start?
pipeline. They just
No one
put
knows
them-
that they're there. 'Cause
Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
it
of the
is,
heroes.
but that's Harrison Wells.
No,
Is just so influential.
Okay, is that what's going
over
on?
our
And like
team.
the Flash is just blinded by it?
There's
Okay.
only
'cause
three of
he's-
them in there.
He's like convinced them.
So if you had
but you're
3
right.
people in your basement, like that's okay.
But you're
not
right.
people,
Like
they're
he's
metahumans.
just
It's
convinced
not okay.
them.
Do you remember the Cleveland story last year? Not good.
Yeah, but he's just
Don't put
it's-
people in your basement.
It's part of Harrison
don't
Wells'
condone that.
manipulation.
Okay, so I'm not wrong to think that, and that's gonna come to roost.
Oh, that's totally gonna come home to
Okay,
roost.
because I'm like, how can you just incarcerate people?
No,
it's
it's
not-
totally gonna come home to
No,
roost.
they're going to make an army before anything else happens,
Yeah.
and they're going to fight back. Are
But
you
I mean, the
kidding?
Flash is
Mist in there.
complicit in this. I think that's going to be really
which is
interesting
gonna be
moving on.
It's going to be a fascinating story to get into. I'm
got a
really
lot of
looking
growing
forward
up to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't no matter how bad you think someone is in this country, we have a trial by a jury of your peers.
I have a request. Can we talk about Margot Robbie now, please?
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Fair.
Continuing with the Suicide Squad, Margot Robbie spoke out about her upcoming turn as Harley Quinn. And if we might hear her use the Brooklynese accent so often affiliated with the character from her origin in Batman the Animated Series. That's where the character originated. But since then, the character has appeared in Injustice Gods Among Us, the popular Arkham games.
And look, and Arkham Asylum, the film, the animated film, there's no way she's going to go that accent in Arkham Asylum was...
Assault on Arkham.
I'm sorry, Assault on Arkham.
Yeah.
It was too much. Like, it was great for cartoon.
That's more like the cartoon version.
But it was like...
It was becoming a satire of itself.
It really was. And there's no way she's going to go that route. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I agree with that. But I have to say, her quote was kind of strange, saying that she didn't think that the accent would be even close to what it was in Wolf of Wall Street.
It'll be subtle.
And I don't think of it as being subtle. I think that it will be a different kind of voice, but it's got to be like piercing.
Well, it was a Brooklyn accent Wolf too, is what they're saying. I mean, but that was partly part of the reason she got cast was because of that movie.
Right. So I don't want her. I think that actors sometimes get in their own head and they're like, I have to be so different than the last character I played. This character is so different that she does. If the voice is the same kind of voice, I don't think she should change it just because she's worried it will be the same voice.
Well, when it comes down to it, she'll do whatever accent the director says.
Yeah, they'll find it.
Fair.
What do you think about just sort of that character, how it's evolved? Because it was a fan favorite, and this is sort of like something that really hasn't happened too many times before, where a character is very much retconned into the continuity, born out of the animated series, which, I mean, some of the best Batman stories ever told were on that show.
Well, also, I mean, that's happened... Doesn't happen often, but it's happened since the beginning because there were characters and ideas in the Superman radio show like Jimmy Olsen and Kryptonite that wound up in the comics later.
Also, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, right?
Firestar got and she was only created because they originally was going to be Human Torch, and then there were TV rights issues.
Right.
So they created Firestar.
And they made her. Did they make her an X-Men too? They made them both X-Men, right?
In the cartoon, yeah.
That was so cool. Yeah. That was like my introduction to X-Men.
But with Harley, I mean, it came from Paul Dini. Basically saw there was I think it was Days of Our Lives because Arlene Sorkin was on that, and there was a dream sequence where she was wearing a Jester's costume.
You talking about the soap?
Yeah.
And I did not know this.
Yeah,
this is great.
There was a dream sequence where she was wearing this Jester outfit, and he thought that looks amazing, and so just basically copied that, and then asked Arlene because he knew her to voice this character who was just going to be a throwaway character in one episode where the Joker sort of needed this girl's sidekick.
Whoa.
But she was just so much fun. They made a couple more episodes about her, and then they saw the fan response. They're like, all right, we're just rocking this out. And a throwaway joke where Batman told Robin she used to be a psychoanalytical therapist or something like in Arkham, then led eventually to the comic book and then episode of the same name, Mad Love, where you had this whole origin story where she'd been a doctor who really, though, wasn't about...
At Arkham? Yeah.
Although she really wasn't about curing. She was someone who was controlled by ambition. She wanted to become the person who examined the Joker and came to understand him, not necessarily someone who had healed the Joker. Wow. And Joker took advantage
She wanted him to be her life's work in a sense.
So she's a way deeper character than a lot of people realize. I thought she was just a goof who was a hot chick.
No, she's and you would see in Mad Love how she was trying to analyze the Joker, and he, like he does often in the comics, gave her a particular origin that he realized she would connect to and that she would start feeling an emotional attachment to, and then slowly through their therapy session he's actually corrupting her. And it's just because, one, the Joker loves to corrupt people, and two, because her name amused him, that Harleen Quinzel could be manipulated to Harley Quinn or Harlequin,
like Roy G. Bigelow.
Right. And so on that simple amusement he's like, yeah, I'm gonna mess with this. And she finally got into the comic book continuity in right before 2000 in 1999.
And then and now it has been reintroduced in New 52 as well.
Yeah, and I'm of two minds. I think Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner are doing an amazing job with her in her solo book. I think that's been really good. But the way she's been in the Suicide Squad in New 52, I honestly think a lot of magic's been taken out of her character. She's just sort of this weird... She doesn't have the same charm she used to have. I find it weird that she's like just... got this weird relationship with Deadshot happening at times.
What do you feel like she's missing? What would they need to add to make you feel?
I think they don't know. Depending on which issue of Suicide Squad you've been reading, New 52, she either is this sort of dim-witted, naive person who's really crazy, or she's completely putting on an act.
That's how she is in Assault on Arkham, the whole film.
Right, or like in the issue 0 or the not New Year's Evil, the Forever Evil issue where they're going into her origin in New 52. She basically says that she's putting on an act, that this is all an act, and she's actually very manipulative and smart. And I feel like there's a middle ground there. There should be a little bit of innocence, not naivete, not immaturity necessarily, but because she is intelligent and she is able to hold her own in a fight. But there should be a little bit of an innocence where she honestly doesn't know why it's bad to beat up people if they annoy you, or why it's bad to blow a building up because the explosion will look pretty.
So is that the direction that you think that they should go with Margot Robbie's character in the film? Because now to make this character work in a cinematic interpretation is going to be a completely different ball of wax.
Well, the fact that they're including the Joker at all is interesting, because I think you sort of need the presence of the Joker there for her to make a little bit of sense. This is the person. This is Patty Hearst in a way. And you sort of need that presence there. At the same time, I don't see the Joker working with the Suicide Squad unless
he's not working with it. I mean, I shouldn't say that. We don't know.
We don't
know.
Exactly.
Most of us believe, and most of the rumors have been, that the Joker is going to be locked up, horribly scarred from his battles with the Batman over the years. Kind of like how he's locked up in a lot of Dark Knight Returns.
He's going to be used as a teaser for the future.
And in Assault on Arkham,
and if they play it that way, cool.
And that's what I want. I want to see maybe just a little thing, just a tease, like, oh, wait till next time.
But I also do like the idea of Deathstroke, and I would like to see a real badass Deathstroke Batman brawl, because more than I even want to see this Batman, because I think the action in this Batman universe is going to be great. I think Zack Snyder does action really well. And I think that seeing a Deathstroke Batman fight down the line could be really, really great.
Sure.
Let's move on to...
we don't got too much time.
Jesse Eisenberg talked a little bit about playing Lex Luthor, kind of echoing Henry. That's a cool Photoshop, right?
Yeah.
He basically said that, in his sort of like hipstery way, like that, yes, he likes playing the role and will do it again. He's the perfect role for him.
He does the strangest interviews.
Yeah,
he really does.
Yeah.
I want to just see him do like a happy dance or something weird, because I don't know. I think it's cool when people love their roles. I think it's cool when people are appreciative for being cast. I think it's cool that he wants to continue. But there's something about the way that he delivers that I'm like, I don't know.
I know,
what's
it's a little
going on
odd.
up there?
But the way he does, like the same complaint you have, is also why he's probably good to play Lex Luthor.
I think I'm excited to have him play Lex Luthor.
That always on edge, just mysterious. I could murder you with the pulse of my finger.
Of course, for clarification, I wasn't saying I didn't think he should be cast. I think that he's great for the role.
What are your thoughts on Jesse as Lex? And that direction, sort of.
I mean, again, it's not necessarily who I would cast, but he's a good actor. So I'm curious to see it. It's and the fact is they're going already with their own version of Superman, their own atmosphere of Superman. So it's already something that I wouldn't be doing. So I've just got to adjust, like, this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
And if it fits with their version of things, great. Like, he's an excellent actor. I'm curious to see what he brings.
There's a few more things I want to get to, so we'll start to move a little quick here, but I really wanted to talk about the next one. According to a rumor sussed out by the inimitable El Mayimbe of Latino Review, the Justice League Dark script from Guillermo del Toro will feature Boston Brand the Deadman, Jason Blood, Etrigan the Demon, Zatanna, and John Constantine. What do we think of these characters appearing in this lineup, and what do we think about who's potentially missing?
Well, I know who you think is missing.
Okay.
Your homeboy Swamp Thing.
Yes, that does stand out. Now, these are all still rumors because we had previously heard that Swamp Thing and Madame Xanadu are in the script. So I don't know if they're excised, but I will tell you this, my opinion, and then I want to hear what you all think. If this gets greenlight, it immediately becomes the DC Cinematic Universe film I am most looking forward to, almost more than everything else. Well, because I'll tell you why. Guillermo del Toro monsters, Pacific Rim, giant robots.
Right.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Thank you. Pan's Labyrinth is probably my favorite one of his movies. The Hellboy movies. The idea of that guy having Swamp Thing would bring the Swamp Thing that I want to see, but that doesn't mean that Etrigan wouldn't be incredible, and Deadman. So
both great characters.
I have not read a lot of the Justice League Dark, so I really want to hear what you have to say about this lineup and whether you're excited or not about it.
The first story arc they did, the New 52, it was really floundering, and I don't think they knew the identity of the team. And then starting with, I want to say, issue 8 or 9, they brought in new story arc, new directions, now a solid team membership, and holy, that rocked out. It was really cool, and it was what I think it should have been, which is that this is a team of, this sort of a non-team. These are not people who particularly like working with each other or with groups in general, but there are threats where all of them have different talents that you have to pull together. And sort of, it's almost
more supernatural threats, right?
Yeah,
These are things that
threats, right.
regular Justice League can't handle.
Right, exactly. And that they simply don't have the mindset to handle, because to deal with some of these supernatural threats, you have to go into some dark places, both literally and in your brain.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, I don't know if we know this, but is Boston Brand, is he going to become the Dead Man if he's included in...
Is this his origin, or is he already a ghost?
I don't know.
I hope he's already a ghost. That would be fun.
I think you guys have thought further into the plot of this than they have gone so far.
Apparently there's a script.
That's how I feel about many comic book movies.
that might be true. I think that this is cool. I would be interested, of course, but it wouldn't be my number one favorite that I'm looking forward to the most. I am happy for fans that love Constantine, and that show might be getting canceled.
Right, so this might be your only shot for John Constantine.
This is a little bit of a tissue for them to wipe their tears with.
I think right now the number one movie anyone has to look forward to has to be Dawn of Justice, because if that doesn't go over well, then what the hell?
No, I am obviously very much looking forward to Dawn of Justice, but just the whole idea of Guillermo del Toro directing a DCCU film doesn't sound real to me. It sounds like so much talk. That's why if it got greenlit...
It's so different. We've already sort of got a taste of Dawn of Justice because it's mostly the same people who did Man of Steel. So we already have a taste of the atmosphere and how the story paces out. Whereas with this... Yeah, the possibilities are really enticing.
Guillermo likes to do his own stuff, but he also loves properties. I mean, he did Hellboy, and he loves Hellboy.
And they're also such exaggerated characters here and there. Etrigan is a freaking demon who rhymes.
Yes.
I love that. Dead Man is just, he's a guy. He's a ghost, but he just sees himself as just this
with
guy.
a really high collar.
I'm just Boston.
And you
What's
mentioned
up?
Etrigan. Isn't he... Technically, that's the demon that goes inside of Jason Blood, right? And then when it's summoned, it kind of just...
depending on which version of the comics...
Thank you.
Yeah, depending on which version of the comics you're reading, he's either a manifestation of Jason's dark side, or he's a demon who is Merlin's half-brother and was bonded to Jason's soul, and so they share the same body. So he's basically, if you're making an Avengers comparison, he's their Hulk.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Well, I mean,
5 minutes left.
Okay. Really quickly, we'll mention the Pretty Woman herself is going to turn Bat Kid Begins,
Yes, you.
The Wish Heard Round the World into a feature film. Julia Roberts at the Sundance Festival apparently has purchased the rights to this film. This is, of course, the documentary about the young boy who had leukemia, and then around the San Francisco Bay Area, they did this citywide stunt where this little kid got to be Batman for the day.
And everyone cried.
Everyone cried. And it just grew. To me, it has tremendous cinematic potential because it's one of these things that started small, and then everybody just added to it, and it became this huge, huge event.
Over 25,000 residents turned out, and then over 2 billion people on social media.
Wow. What could be bigger or better than this? Nothing. I just think it's awesome. I think it's awesome.
This is the only thing that could get me excited for a Julia Roberts project. I mean, the only thing is you add a Batman element to Julia Roberts.
That's a little much over there.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
What's the next one?
She seems like a fine lady.
If you need, really quickly, I'll just mention the Suicide Squad. If you need a fix really fast, Suicide Squad will return on episode 18 of Arrow season 3. I also just want to mention, I thought Arrow was really great this week. I love the Ra's al Ghul stuff they're doing. I love that Ollie's been out of town.
I agree with you, but they are getting mixed reviews right now.
Are they really?
I wasn't feeling this episode as much. There were some pacing and plot issues I have with it. I liked the last episode better.
My biggest problem with Arrow is that everybody freaking fights. I hate the shows where everybody's trained and jumps in and is fighting and is amazing at fighting.
Right.
The lawyer, everybody.
Ollie's been missing for a week and the city's this bad, and I was like, wait a minute, guys. I appreciate that you want to show that the absence of a hero means something. It's been 5 days. What is wrong with all of you?
Finally, this one we just want to talk about a little bit. Following the announcement last week of Melissa Benoist as Supergirl, we now know that Jimmy Olsen will be in this universe. He will work with Supergirl. He's cast and he'll be portrayed by, I apologize, I don't know how to pronounce his name, name McCad Brooks. He's a photographer at Catco, which I'm assuming has something to do with Cat Grant?
It could be. It could be. Maybe she started a blogging thing here, or her own social media
so
thing.
Cat Grant has been someone at the Daily Planet, and then has been a news reporter.
She's her J. Jonah Jameson.
You guys know that I'm very involved in the TV universe, so I know him from Desperate Housewives.
Okay.
And he's good. He's fine. I don't know that much about him. I'm wondering.
I don't see too much of a resemblance with the traditional Jimmy Olsen, but I'm sure they'll dye his hair red, and that will be fine.
Oh, yeah,
That'll fix everything for everyone.
Oh, for sure. So you guys are for him going red, but you're not for Momoa going blonde. What's wrong with this world?
No, Jimmy Olsen's got to be a ginger. Real quickly, though, I know we have to end, but I just want to say, what does this mean, the fact that Kara Zor-El is working with Jimmy Olsen? Does that mean that Clark doesn't exist in this world, or it does and is off-planet? I mean, what is this? What do you think this implies?
I mean, you could. The easiest fix for me would be that it doesn't take place in Metropolis, and that Jimmy.
It doesn't. There was another city mentioned.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So Jimmy, maybe he's trying to do a new direction in his life, moves to this other city for a while, and can mention that he has these friends back home.
Which is very similar to what happened in the Supergirl film.
Right. So it's an easy fix, and that's why you have Frasier move to Seattle when he has his own show. So you don't have to wonder why Sam and Diane don't show up every episode.
Right. Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough.
So I'm okay with that.
So you're okay with the fact that they very well may be echoing the Supergirl film?
If they echo that element, fine. We don't have to adapt that film any further.
What do you guys think? It's a non-traditional Jimmy Olsen.
I'm all for non-tradition. Why not? I mean, if Tyrese can pitch himself for a character that might not even be in a movie, why can't we? They're already casting him. They're already casting Jimmy Olsen, so
I'm good.
No, I think it's good. I'm excited to see where this goes. It's the same producers that brought us, Flash, that brought us Arrow.
Exactly. So I've got a lot of faith in it.
By the way, I felt like we were sitting with the James Lipton of.
Oh my goodness! Seriously.
And not only that,
great.
but the chat thought that too. They loved you.
Alan, I just want to thank you, Alan Kistler. He will be back on the show. You'll be back on the show.
Absolutely, I'd love to come back.
He will come back and talk to us. We have some authority right now.
You can find me on Twitter at Sizzler Kistler, and go to YouTube channel Think About the Ink.
I'm Adam Gertler. You can find me at Adam Gertler on Twitter, on Instagram, although most of my Instagram pictures involve sausage.
I'm Roxy Striar. You can find me at Roxy Striar, or you can find us here at Popcorn Talk on YouTube. You can go to iTunes, rate, comment, subscribe. We love hearing what you guys have to say. Always hashtag DC Movie News. You can find us on Twitter at DC Movies SK. And make sure you're asking us questions. Yes, I did finally bring my Flash stuff in. Thank you guys for noticing. I love you so much.
At Jay Guasto and the Wrestling Compadre Slamcast on Nerdist at Wrestling Buzz. Check it out. It's always a good time.
Woo! All right. Thanks, everybody.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.